Hello YouTube, I hope you are okay wherever you are, as always. So, are we heading for World War III? Are we heading for a conventional confrontation, a war between Russia and NATO? Reports that the French, they sent about 1,000 troops to the Odessa region. Those troops will be, of course, obliterated. But, like I keep warning, keep a close eye out on former Bessarabia, Transnistria and developments. You will see very soon. It will be the next front line. So, are we heading? NATO. We Europeans, because it's not an abstract thing, you know. It's not only Macron doing then something very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. No, that is then indeed, like Mr. Viktor Orban is warning, the so-called leaders in the West, in Europe, in particular in Brussels, pushing for war. Like Mr. Lavrov also said, it's the only thing on their mind. How can we get a war with Russia? Because this is really what they want. They just don't want to have the fault. You hear me right. They do not want to be the ones who can be blamed. That the finger of the international community can be pointed to us. So they try to find all sorts of ways to get us into a hot war. I'm watching here a report of Emil, one of my favorites. I do not always agree with everything, but for sure I agree with this part.
I thought for, let's say,
Me
maybe
too.
20%. I said I had doubts that these guys would get us into a hot war with Russia. And actually, we can have a world war. The third conventional world war. They hope. Because
Yes.
Moscowitz, Schumer, Netanyahu, Zelensky, and Windman, they win either way. They're on the winning side. With someone else's hands, picking up the hot potato from the fire. That's how I see it.
Yep.
And time will tell. I can tell you, they will have a war. They will have a war. And these baboons will promote it. Why?
The ones in
First,
Brussels.
because they're baboons, and the second, because the other guys are going to propagandize them in such a way. Well, what's going to happen?
Klaar.
We're going to destroy ourselves. Big, big time. Until they took control of the whole thing really, really big time. Remember, capital has no nationality. Banks can lend money to whomever. I lent to Napoleon, I lent to Wellington, and so on. Thank you very much for being here.
Exactly the same point I made 2 years ago already. No? The bankers, they will show up and be the so-called saving heroes in the future. I already said, those who instigate this war who wants the West against the East, against the BRICS, they already have safeguarded their capital on that side, because they know that that side, 2/3 of the world minimum, will win against the West, NATO, led by some suicide, infantile, senile moron who has the capabilities of pressing a nuclear button. Huh? And then at the same time we have insane psychopaths like Netanyahu, and we have narcissistic psychopaths like Zelensky. Huh? Great combination. Great combination. And then we have all the traitors in Brussels who refuse to even mention the fact that there has been a terrorist attack on us, NATO, by another NATO member, the USA. In the case of Germany, I'm not surprised. Germany is a occupied country. Germany is my country of birth. So yes, I have a God-given right to defend Germany from its occupiers. It's even my fucking duty as a German, a real German, not one of those, indoctrinated by the schooling system of the occupier, not one of those who has been downtrodden by the guilt trip played on us Germans since World War II. I'm fucking over that one. No, really. Especially in the moment that I see how those so-called victims are behaving in the Gaza. Never, ever, as a Jew, open your fucking mouth in front of me, face to face, about your victimhood and how ashamed I should be as a born German about this history. Never ever. I don't owe you shit. I was born 22 years after those facts. I do not owe you shit. Nothing. My fellow Germans out there, you do not owe them shit. If you are my generation, if you are born after the Second World War, you do not owe them anything except one thing. One thing. That's keeping that promise. This never again. And it's a holy duty to me as a German. It is. And if I see the same kind of traitors, the same kind of powers pushing again to misuse Germany, because it's a fucking fact, Germany is the European powerhouse. That's why we had World War I and World War II. A little known fact, but it's factual, historical factual. In 1910, those family members, all those royals, those monarchs back then, ruling Europe, they, for the first time ever, and the last time, at least according to recorded history, they came together in a meeting. The purpose of the meeting is debated. But my opinion, 4 years later we had World War One. And the reason for World War One was, yes, Germany became a powerhouse, much to the disliking of their, British and French family members, who already had for many years before the Germans big empires of colonial power. And then the Germans also started on this endeavor at some point. Yeah. Yes, also in Africa, and yes, likewise with their brethren in evil, with grave consequences for the Africans. But that was not the concern of the Brits and the Dutch and the French. No, their concern was like, fuck's sake, in the same time Russia became more and more involved in the world, the Tsar, doing explorations and conquering new land, etc. Not by military power, I mean by discovery, explorations. A lot went on in the passing of the century, 1800s, 1900. It's also exactly the period in which you can go back to this source of everlasting European wars. The longest that took place was 80 years. 80 years in Europe. The 80-year war. Look it up. And it was likewise the same powers to be who are currently today waging these wars. I don't know about you in Europe, but I'm not prepared to fight the Russians. I am prepared, however, to fight. For fuck, sure. Guaranteed sure. Huh? I used to be in the military, so yes, I am prepared to fight. Except I will not fight the Russians. Nope. Nope, sir. No, I'm sorry to say, I will fight our internal enemy. Stupid of me to reveal this right now. Huh? Better to shut up and then hurt them. Yep. That would perhaps be the most clever way, because after all, speaking out against the system in the West has had already in the last 2 years grave consequences for people. People who have been fleeing, of all places, to Russia. That very same Russia that we claim is a totalitarian dictatorship. And these people flee to Russia to avoid persecution right here at home in Europe. Journalists fleeing for Brussels. But yes, keep dreaming on. It's democratic. It's beneficial. You know, it's hard to have principles when your livelihood depends on one of the two sides of the coin. Yeah? when your livelihood depends on, like in the Netherlands is the biggest stakeholder in jobs in the Netherlands. The biggest employer of them all. So yes, you can imagine that if you would suggest to downsize that government, well, many people will be very upset. If you criticize that government, many people will be upset. No one likes to see the truth. I am sure those who worked in Auschwitz did not want to see the truth. Living in a form of denial. So yes, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna heading for this hot conventional war? Or are we wise enough? From day one, I spoke out against getting involved in this civil war, because that's actually how it started. The east of the Ukraine are, according to Kiev, Ukrainians. Yet they are not Ukrainians. They are considered terrorists because they do not agree with Kiev. But they want back east of Ukraine because it belongs to the Ukraine. Therefore, ergo, factual, those people are considered belonging to the Ukraine. Okay. If this is the case, then explain to me, why did we get involved in this way instead of stopping the Kiev regime killing their own population for more than 8 years? I'm still waiting on an answer from our Prime Minister Mark Rutte on that part. Tell me, why did we allow that? Why? I can give you the answer. It's not difficult to figure out. Especially in the case of the Netherlands and the Ukraine. Remember MH17? And could it be that the truth about MH17 is the reason, the very reason, that this slimy Jewish capo Zelensky has leverage over Mark Rutte? I bet your ass it's the reason. Absolutely. And could it be that in 2013 this deal, Vozen, the director of Shell, Yanukovych, and Mark Rutte, that meeting, and the 10 billion that Shell paid to have some, drilling rights in a certain area. Could it be that when Yanukovych in 2014, so the period between that deal and the Maidan coup, could it be that because Yanukovych wanted to reconsider this deal with Shell, that the Dutch government started to invest heavily in propaganda for the Maidan coup? Because they did. They even announced it on their websites. Yes. How they invested more than 150,000 euro into this Maidan movement. Very proudly they announced it. Yeah. Like I keep promising my so-called Prime Minister Mark Rutte. Man, God willing, we will find out the truth about MH17, Mark. Yes, and like I promised, I am not shy of this experimental interrogation techniques who are very humane. But you would spill the beans about MH17. Ever since that moment, I was still in the Netherlands. I swore in front of my ex-girlfriend, that truth will come out, Mark. And when it does, be prepared for the wrath that will follow from many, many Dutch. Oh hell yes. Oh hell yes. Ja, Mark. De onderste steen zou boven komen. Die gaat boven komen, jongen. Ik ben een geduldig man. Ik ben een heel fucking geduldig man. Vooral als het schaakbord mijn kant uit beweegt. Have a nice day, YouTube. Have a nice day.